Hello, and welcome to another episode of On My Radar, where I tell you about books that have recently released. Today's episode is going to be talking about books that release between February the 12th and February the 25th. If you're an author and you'd like to put your book in front of my eyes so that I can consider featuring it, check out the link down below in the description. I don't do a lot of research into these books beforehand, so when I'm reading the blurbs to you, most of the time it's the first time I've actually read the blurbs. So these are kind of like books where when I saw the cover or the author or the genres, I was like, I need to know more. And that's honestly all that this list is based off of. But it's interesting because you get to hear my genuine reactions when reading the blurbs if I find something super cool. So let's get started with these 2 weeks of releases. Always the Almost by Edward Underhill is pitched as a young adult fiction, romance, LGBTQ+, and comes in at 320 pages. A trans pianist makes a New Year's resolution on a frozen Wisconsin night to win regionals and win back his ex. But a new boy complicates things in this heartfelt debut YA rom-dram. 16-year-old trans boy Miles Jacobson has two New Year's resolutions. One, win back his ex-boyfriend and star of the football team, Shane McGinty. And two, finally beat his arch nemesis at the Midwest's biggest classical piano competition. But that's not going to be so easy. For one thing, Shane broke up with Miles 2 weeks after Miles came out as trans, and now Shane's stubbornly ignoring him, even when they literally bump into each other. Plus, Miles's new, slightly terrifying piano teacher keeps telling him that he's playing like he doesn't know who he is, whatever that means. Then Miles meets the new boy in town, Eric Mendez, a proud queer cartoonist from Seattle who asks his pronouns, cares about art as much as he does, and makes his stomach flutter. Not what he needs to be focusing on right now. But after Eric and Miles pretend to date so they can score an invite to a couples-only Valentine's party, the ruse turns real with a kiss. Which is also definitely not in the plan. If only Miles could figure out why Eric likes him so much. It's not like he's cool or confident or comfortable in his own skin. He's not even good enough at piano to get his fellow competitors to respect him, especially now, as Miles. Nothing's ever been as easy for him as for other people, other boys. He's only ever been almost enough. So why, when he's with Eric, does it feel like the only person he's ever really not been enough for is himself? Arch-Conspirator by Veronica Roth is pitched as science fiction, apocalyptic, and post-apocalyptic, and comes in at 128 pages. That actually sounds really small. That's like a novella. So I'm a little confused because it doesn't say novella on here. But anyway, in this gripping and atmospheric reimagining of Antigone 1, New York Times bestselling author Veronica Roth reaches back to the root of the legend and delivers a world of tomorrow both timeless and unexpected. I'm cursed, haven't you heard? Outside the last city on Earth, the planet is a wasteland. Without the archive where the genes of the dead are stored, humanity will end. Antigone's, or Antigone, I think it's Antigone. Antigone's parents, um, Oedipus, I know that's wrong. I don't speak Greek. And Jocasta are dead. Passing into the archive should be cause for celebration, but with her militant uncle, Creon, rising to claim her father's vacant throne, all Antigone feels is rage. When he welcomes her and her siblings into his mansion, Antigone sees it for what it really is, a gilded cage where she is a captive as well as a guest. But her uncle will soon learn that no cage is unbreakable, and neither is he. Ooh. Discovering Him, Book 8 of the Healing series by Kelly Seibold, comes in at 259 pages and is an adult romance. She wasn't supposed to fall for her mark. Shaney King has one assignment: get the information needed to put Dr. Colton Sharp behind bars by any means necessary. It should make the job easier that she's attracted to the hot chief of staff, but the lonely single mom has a lot on her plate and feels overwhelmed. When her son gets scrapped in a bike wreck, and Colton cares for him, it adds even more to his appeal. When he takes care of her in a weak moment, she's a goner. He was just a job until he wasn't. If he's guilty, she loses, and if he's innocent, he'll never forgive her. He has every reason to hate her. She just wishes he'd find one to love her. Imposter Syndrome and Other Confessions of Alexandra Kim by Patricia Park is pitched as young adult fiction, people and places, United States, Asian American, and Pacific Islander, and comes in at 304 pages. The award-winning author of Read Jane makes her young adult debut in a funny, poignant, and powerful novel about a multicultural teen struggling to fit into her whitewashed school, her diverse Queens neighborhood, and even her own home as her family reels from the loss of her father. A dazzling YA debut, this is deep, real, and scathingly funny, says Gail Foreman. I think we know who Gail Foreman is. Brimming with insights while being unputdownable and just plain fun. Simply brilliant, says David Yoon, another super famous YA author. So, Alexandra Kim doesn't feel like she belongs anywhere. At her wealthy Manhattan school, her super Spanish name and super Korean face did not compute to her mostly white, woke classmates and teachers. In her Jackson Heights neighborhood, she's not Latinx enough. Even at home, Allie feels unwelcome. And things at home have only gotten worse since Poppy's body was discovered on the subway tracks. Allie wants nothing more than to escape the city for the wide open spaces of the prestigious Wilder University, or Wider University. But when a microaggression at school thrust Allie into the spotlight and into a discussion she didn't ask for, Allie must discover what it means to carve out a space for yourself to belong. Patricia Park's coming-of-age novel about a multicultural teen caught between worlds and the future she is building for herself in an incisive, laugh-out-loud, provocative read. Isn't it incisive? I tell y'all, this is like the first time I'm reading about this stuff. But anyway. Last Chance Dance by Lakita Wilson comes in at 336 pages and is pitched as young adult fiction, romantic comedy. An utterly charming YA romance perfect for fans of Elise Bryant and Leah Johnson. An ode to love in all its beautiful chaos, Lila is funny, irreverent, and next-level charming, and her story is an actual joyride. Sheer delight through and through, says Becky Albertalli. Lila is crushed when Dev, her boyfriend of 4 years, breaks up with her right before graduation, just when she's thinking she wasted her entire high school experience on a dead-end relationship. Her best friend Bree reminds her that Last Chance Dance is just around the corner. A high school tradition, the Last Chance Dance gives all the students one last opportunity to find love before they graduate. All Lila has to do is submit 3 unrequited crushes to the dance committee, and if any of her crushes list her too, they'll get matched. Ah! That sounds so fun. Um, Presto, new relationship, just like that. To her utter amazement, Lila is matched with all 3 of her choices! And with someone she's never expected, Trey Hillman, her chemistry partner and low-key nemesis. Oh my gosh! But how would she never expect him if she also put him down? Okay, I still am interested. Even though that doesn't make sense. Though at times skeptical, Lila embarks on her last chance dance mission, trying out her matches and going on dates. If Dev wasn't her true love, then maybe someone else is. She knows it's definitely not Trey, even though he seems more and more determined to convince her he's right for her. Didn't you have to write him down too? I don't understand this plot hole. But as graduation and the dance approaches and each date seems to change her mind and her heart, Lila must figure out, or Layla, I don't know, must figure out what and who she really wants. It's her last chance, right? Murder in Haxford, a Pignon Scorpion mystery by Rick Bleiweiss, is pitched as fiction, mystery, and detective traditional, and it does not have a listed number of pages. Pigeon Scorpion is back for the second installment in his best-selling and award-winning historical mystery series, perfect for fans of Hercule Poirot and Enola Holmes. A delightful day in 1910 at Haxford Springs Fair turns horrifying and deadly when a balloonist plummets to the earth from the blue skies above. However unlikely, it's soon discovered that this unfortunate corpse was not done in by his precipitous plunge, but instead from an arrow fatally lodged in his chest. Unraveling the twisted web of intrigue that took the man's life requires the expert skills of Haxford's brilliant and sartorially splendid Chief Inspector Pignon Scorpion. But the quirky detective is not alone in this task. Aiding Scorpion in his dogged pursuit of truth and justice are his carefully chosen deputies, 6 quirky and unconventional thinkers from the town who met regularly with Scorpion in Calvin Brown's barber shop to unmask ne'er-do-wells and solve local crimes. Since his move to the charming village, the enigmatic detective has also realized his growing dependence upon its bookshop's owner. Lovely and quick-witted Thelma Smith not only helps Pignon with his criminal cases, but she seems well on her way to unlocking the mysteries of his heart. Not everyone in Haxford is so cooperative. Faston Hardcastle from the Gazette is bound and determined to ruin the town's new officer of the law with slanderous new reports of failure and misconduct, and other residents of the picture-perfect village do not welcome the inspector's inquiring eye and expert nose for trouble when they engage in decidedly unquaint activities like gambling, revenge, forgery, and loan sharking. It falls to Pignon Scorpion to reveal their deceit and criminal misdeeds, all in a good day's work. Once done, he and Thelma can then thoroughly enjoy a delicious dinner at the Bridge House Inn. My Last Innocent Year by Daisy Alpert Florin is pitched as coming of age and is 304 pages. On a side note, I won this book from Goodreads, so I do own it. So eventually I'll be reading this. I don't know when, but eventually I'll get to it. An incisive, deeply resonant debut novel about the non-consensual sexual encounter that propels one woman's final semester at an elite New England college into controversy and chaos, and into an ill-advised affair with a married professor. It's 1998, and Isabel Rosen is the daughter of a Lower East Side appetizing store owner, has 1 semester left at Wilder College, a prestigious school in New Hampshire. Desperate to shed her working-class roots and still mourning the death of her mother 4 years earlier, Isabel has always felt like an outsider at Wilder, but now, in her final semester, she believes she has found her place, until a non-consensual sexual encounter with one of the only other Jewish students on campus leaves her reeling. Enter R.H. Connolly, a once famous poet and Isabel's writing professor, a man with secrets of his own. Connolly makes Isabel feel seen, beautiful, talented, the woman she longs to become. His belief in her ignites a belief in herself, and the two begin an affair that shakes the foundation of who Isabel thinks she is, for better and worse. As the lives of the adults around her slowly come apart, Isabel discovers that the line between youth and adulthood is less defined than she thought. A coming-of-age story set against the backdrop of the Clinton Lewinsky scandal, My Last Innocent Year is a timely and wise portrait of a young woman learning to trust her voice and move toward independence while recognizing the beauty and grit of where she came from. Planning Perfect by Haley Neal is pitched as young adult fiction, social themes, dating, and sex, and comes in at 352 pages. In this YA rom-com about being on the asexual spectrum, heck yeah, a a girl discovers that sometimes the best part of life can't be planned. When her mom gets engaged, Felicity sees the wedding as the perfect opportunity to show off her event planning skills, especially when her friend Nancy offers her family's apple orchard as a venue. But when it starts to seem like there might be something besides friendship between them, Felicity isn't sure how she feels. As someone on the asexuality spectrum, what would dating even look like for her? And would Nancy be open to dating when Felicity doesn't even know what she wants from a relationship? Suddenly, this summer is a lot more complicated. Can Felicity wrangle her irresponsible mom, juggle her judgmental grandmother, figure out her feelings for Nancy, and plan the perfect wedding? Or will all of her plans come crashing down around her? Revelle by Lyssa Mia Smith comes in at 464 pages and is pitched as a young adult historical fantasy. Inspired by Moulin Rouge and set on an island in a magical version of Prohibition-era New York, Revelle is a breathtaking YA standalone fantasy full of dazzling magic, romance, and mystery from debut author Lyssa Mia Smith. On the island of Shermont, magic flows like bootlegged champagne, and fantasies can be bought for the price of a gemstone. Lux Revelle, star of her family's fantastical show, knows the splendor is just an illusion. With prohibition threatening their livelihood, her family struggles to make a living, watering down champagne and patching holes in their sequined costumes. So when the son of Charmant's wealthiest family makes her an offer, everything the Revels need to stay in business, in exchange for posing as his girl and helping him become mayor, she can't refuse. The moment Jameson Port sets foot in Shermont, he can't shake the feeling of familiarity. An orphan with as few memories as gemstones, he's desperate to learn what happened to his parents. But as he delves into the island's secrets, he risks angering the wrong person and discovering a truth that just might break his heart. When Lux and Jameson accidentally meet, the sparks that fly are more than her magical enchantments. But keeping secrets from powerful people is a dangerous game, one that could destroy them both. Saint Death's Daughter by C.S.E. Cooney is pitched as fantasy, and it comes in at 656 pages. A blackly funny, gloriously queer coming-of-age fantasy with love, beauty, and necromancy by World Fantasy Award-winning author C.S.E. Cooney. Nothing complicates life like death. Lainey Stones, the daughter of crown-appointed killers, was born with a gift for necromancy and a literal allergy to violence. For her own safety, she was raised in isolation in a crumbling mansion by the family's moldering revenant. When Lainey's parents are murdered, she and her psychotic sister, Nita, must settle their extensive debts or lose their ancestral home. When Larot's ruler, too, is murdered, it throws the whole nation's future into doubt. Hunted by Larot's enemies, terrorized by family ghosts, and tortured by a forbidden love for a childhood friend, Lainey will need more than luck to get through the next few months. But when the goddess of death is on your side, anything is possible. All right, y'all, this is going to be an interesting one. So this is actually like a collection or anthology of contemporary romances. It's called Tease Me. It is a limited release for 99 cents. And my friend is actually one of the authors on here. So of course I purchased this and I've already read her book. So if you do get Tease Me, go ahead and skip ahead to Try Me by C.M. Haynes, because I can tell you it's great because I've already read it. But anyway, this one has a crap ton of authors. I'm going to tell you who all of them are, but first I'm going to tell you what this set is about, and then I'll go back and I'll tell you the authors. So for 99 cents, you're getting 2,209 pages. Don't let love or lust pass you by. Sink into this incredible collection of never before released full length novels, available for a limited time only. Let us arouse your imagination with dozens of books compiled to satisfy your craving for romance. They'll tease, excite, and tempt you to sin. Get ready to swoon over these seductive stories of craving and demand. Yield and advance. Heat, hearts, need, desire, whatever stirs your passion, we'll find a way to thrill. Take the tantalizing chance. Devour this scorching box set before it's gone for good. Warning, contains explicit language and imagery suitable for ages 18 and over. All of these books are steamy, but they're contemporary steamy romances. So if you've been looking for a big box set that wasn't paranormal that was steamy, or fantasy that was steamy, Tease Me. Alright, so now I get to tell you the ridiculous amount of authors who are involved. And y'all, every single story in this box set is a complete novel over 50,000 words. So they're not short stories, they're novels. Lizzie Stone, Elise Knight, Scarlett Finn, Susan Stradito, Lindsay Bassett, or Bassett, Cale Parker, Charmaine Louise Shelton, Amy Stevens, Amy Sissel, Jade Royal, Lenora Colwyn, Tracy Broomer, Thea Finn, Victoria Liv, Jane Polar, C.H. Earl, Julia Ash, Harper Cross, M.R. Browning, Devi Duarte, Z. Irwin, T.L. Hamilton, Reese Spencer, Daisy Allen, Maggie Adams, Serena James Chase, Susie McIver, and my BFF, C.M. Haynes. Y'all have seen me review a crap ton of her books. This is a new pen name that she's using for her spicier works. So every time I talk about I'm like, wait, what does she use for her books? Kate Marie. I was about to say her real name. Kate Marie. Then it's the same person. So yeah, this thing already has 108 reviews. And of those, 66% of those are 5 stars. So its rating is 4.6 right now, which is really good. What else do I want to say about this book? So this one already got really high up on release day. It was like number 600 something out of the, actually I think it got all the way up to 400 in the entire Kindle store. And it is currently number 4 in all romance anthologies, number 5 in all romance collections and anthologies, and number 7 in romance anthologies. I don't know why that's there twice. But anyway, so it's doing really well. But you know, I'm going to put a little extra hype on my friends. Also, discovering him, I got to be in a... we did a lot of parties this last weekend. So, of course, I was going to hype my new friend. So, anyway. The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshana Chokshi comes in at 304 pages and is pitched as fairy tales, folk tales, legends, and mythology. A sumptuous, gothic-infused story about a marriage that is unraveled by dark secrets, a friendship cursed to end in tragedy, and the danger of believing in fairy tales. The breathtaking adult debut from New York Times bestselling author Roshani Chokshi. Once upon a time, a man who believed in fairy tales married a beautiful, mysterious woman named Indigo Maxwell Castaneda. He was a scholar of myths. She was heiress to a fortune. They exchanged gifts and stories and believed they would live happily ever after. And in exchange for her love, Indigo extracted a promise that her bridegroom would never pry into her past. But when Indigo learns that her estranged aunt is dying, and the couple is forced to return to her childhood home, the House of Dreams, the bridegroom will soon find himself unable to resist, for within the crumbling manor's extravagant rooms and musty halls there lurks the shadow of another girl, Azure, Indigo's dearest childhood friend, who suddenly disappeared. As the house slowly reveals his wife's secrets, the bridegroom will be forced to choose between reality and fantasy, even if doing so threatens to destroy their marriage or their lives. Combining the lush, haunting atmosphere of Mexican Gothic with the dreamy enchantment of the invisible life of Addie LaRue, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride is a spellbinding and darkly romantic page-turner about love and lies, secrets and betrayal, and the stories we tell ourselves to survive. The Pledge by Cale Dietrich is pitched as young adult thrillers and suspense crime and comes in at 304 pages. Scream meets Clown in a Cornfield in this YA horror novel by best-selling author Cale Dietrich, featuring a masked killer who targets frat boys. Freshman Sam believes that joining a fraternity is the best way to form a friend group as he begins his college journey, and his best chance of moving on from his past. He is the survivor of a horrific and world-famous murder spree known as the Lake Priest Massacre, in which a masked killer hunted down Sam and his friends. Sam had to do the unthinkable to survive that night, and it completely derailed him. He sees college and his new identity as a frat boy as his best shot at living a life not defined by the killings. Sam begins to hope a fresh start is possible, and then one of his new frat brothers is found dead. Now, Sam must race against the clock to figure out the murderer's identity and why they are threatening Sam's new friends before more lives, and his own chance to move on, are lost forever. The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz is pitched as fiction, thrillers, psychological, and comes in at 320 pages. Darkly satirical and action-packed. An absolutely splendid debut, says Wendy Walker, nationally best-selling author of Don't Look for Me. The plot meets Please Join Us in this psychological suspense debut about a young author at an exclusive writer's retreat that descends into a nightmare. Alex has all but given up on her dreams of becoming a published author when she receives a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity: attend an exclusive month-long writing retreat at the estate of feminist horror writer Rosa Vallow. Even the knowledge that Ren, her former best friend and current rival, is attending doesn't dampen her excitement. But when the attendees arrive, Rosa drops a bombshell. They must all complete an entire novel from scratch during the next month, and the author of the best one will receive a life-changing seven-figure publishing deal. Determined to win this seemingly impossible contest, Alex buckles down and tries to ignore the strange happenings at the estate, including Rosa's erratic behavior, Ren's cruel mind games, and the alleged haunting of the mansion itself. But when one of the writers vanishes during a snowstorm, Alex realizes that something very sinister is afoot. With the clock running out, she must discover the truth or suffer the same fate. A claustrophobic and propulsive thriller exploring the dark side of female relationships and fame, The Writing Retreat is the unputdownable debut novel from a compelling new talent. On a side note, this book is also available through Book of the Month, so if you want to use my referral link down below, you can check it out. I believe you get your first book for $9.99. And if you don't like the book, you can call customer service and they will give you a credit for a free book for the next month to add on to the regular subscription. So, really awesome customer service, if I must say myself. But yeah, that one sounded really interesting to me. So I did know about this one previously because it had been featured on Book of the Month. But yeah, I'm gonna be stocking my library because it sounds really good. When You Wish Upon a Lantern by Gloria Chao is pitched as a young adult romance, multicultural, and interracial, and comes in at 352 pages. This book is pure joy, don't miss it, says Emiko Jean, New York Times bestselling author of Tokyo Ever After. Acclaimed author Gloria Chao creates real-world magic in this luminous romance about teens who devote themselves to granting other people's wishes, but are too afraid to let themselves have their own heart's desires, each other. Leah and Kai have been best friends since they were little kids, but all that changed when a humiliating incident sparked the biggest misunderstanding of all time, and they haven't spoken since. Then Leah discovers her family's wishing lantern store is struggling, and she decides to resume a tradition she had with her beloved late grandmother. Secretly fulfilling the wishes people write on the lantern they send into the sky. It may boost sales and save the store, but she can't do it alone, and Kai is the only one who cares enough to help. While working on their covert mission, Leah and Kai rekindle their friendship and maybe more. But when their feuding families and changing futures threaten to tear them apart, can they find a way to make their own wishes come true? Where Darkness Blooms by Andrea Hanna is pitched as a young adult fiction, thriller, and suspense supernatural and comes in at 320 pages. Andrea Hanna's Where Darkness Blooms is a supernatural thriller about an eerie town where the sunflowers whisper secrets and the land hungers for blood. The town of Bishop is known for exactly two things: recurring windstorms and an endless field of sunflowers that stretches farther than the eye can see, and women missing women. So, when three more women disappear one stormy night, no one in Bishop is surprised. The case is closed and their daughters are left in the dusty shared house with the shattered pieces of their lives, until the wind kicks up a terrible secret at their mother's much-delayed memorial. With secrets comes the lies each of the girls is forced to confront. After caring for the other girls, Delilah would like to move on with her boyfriend Bennett, but she can't bear his touch. Whitney has already lost both her mother and her girlfriend Eleanor, and now her only solace is an old weather vane that seems to whisper to her. Jude, Whitney's twin sister, would rather ignore it all, but the wind kicks up her secrets too. The summer fling she had with Delilah's boyfriend. And more than anything, Bo wants answers, and she wants them now. Something happened to their mother, and the townsfolk know what it is. She's sure of it. Bishop has always been a strange town, but what the girls don't know is that Bishop was founded on blood, and now it craves theirs. All right, that is everything. Again, if you're like an indie and want your book to be put in front of my eyes, you're going to need to fill out that form, because if your book's not on Edelweiss, I'm not going to see that it exists. I use filters and stuff too, so that I'm only looking at books I think will actually be stuff that the viewers here will like. So it is just where it's getting in front of my eyes, but that doesn't mean it will be featured. I'm mostly featuring sci-fi, fantasy, and romance. That those are the main things. The occasional thriller, mystery, horror, that sort of thing, but not as many. Um, yeah, you're rarely going to see a historical fiction or something like that from me. But that is all of the books for today. If y'all are still listening, if you've watched previous episodes where I've went into detail and gave you like author bios and like key selling points and stuff like that, if you want me to include more of that background information that you're not going to get just from a blurb, and would have to do further research on, let me know. I can include those. It's just that this week I was doing 2 weeks worth and I didn't want this video to be ridiculously long. But when I go back to the weeklies, there'll probably only be like 7 books featured each week. I am also going to lessen the amount of books that I talk about that are in parts of series if they are not the book ones. Mostly because I don't want blurbs to spoil. So if it's like a romance series, it doesn't matter if it's book 27 a lot of the times because it's a different couple. But if it's like fantasy or sci-fi or something like that, you're going to need to read the previous book. So I'm probably going to stop featuring those, even if they are super popular authors. But if they're books that I'm interested in, I will put them on my blog instead. For books that I like have on my actual TBR where I really want to read the sucker like now. Um, but yeah, that's all I've got for you. So thanks for watching. Which book did you hear about that you didn't know about that you're now interested in? I would love to know that. And let me know what your favorite genres are. So maybe I can see that I'm maybe picking a little bit more of whatever y'all's favorite genres are. But anyway, that's all I've got. Bye!